some Couta bait presentation and on live bait, dead baits. So basically what I do, I'm going to just show you my go-to trace. I don't often put little things like dusters, things like that on. I prefer to go very natural on my baits. And I learned a new trick recently on a trip down north. I'm not going to say where I learned it because I don't want to give the guys secrets away. But yeah, so I'm just going to go through the basic trace of what I use and how to hook up a live or a dead mackerel, whether it's moss bunker, cigar scad, whatever it is. Obviously just the difference would be your trace size. So what I've got here is I've got a trace with a number 4 wire, because when we fish up Mozambique, places like that, the water's normally very clean. I don't fish a very long bite trace in the front, well actually I should say leader trace on the front, and I fish a very, very small swivel. I don't even know if the camera is going to be able to zoom into that. But anyway, I'm using a Centro swivel there. It's an 80-pound swivel. Although it's tiny like that, it's very, very strong. And the reason I use such a small swivel is I want to eliminate as much of a bubble trail as I can, to try and make the whole bait look as natural as possible. So on this trace I've got I think this is a 4.0, it's a 4.0 VMC Top Gun on the top here, and then I've got two Raptor Z BKK 4X Strongs. These things are beautiful hooks. They are ideal. What I like about them, they have what they call a micro ring on the top here, so it's nice and small. It doesn't make a big ugly picture or dent or anything like that on the side of the fish. So yeah, it's just it's a bit more finesse, and that's why I like it. Another thing I do, I don't know if they can zoom in here on the camera as well, is when I put my wire through my front hook, I actually put the wire through the wire. And what that does, if you had to pull the trace tight, the hook is still free, so it doesn't impact the bait swimming. Whereas if you have the two separate, then one's pulling on the front, one's pulling on the back, and you tend to find that lead hook becomes rigid and there's no natural movement in it. That's another little pearl of wisdom there. Then the little trick I told you about is this sliding hook, because often we're trying to add 2 hooks by adding a second wire, and it makes the bait look a lot more unnatural. So on that same trace, if I was hooking a live mackerel or whatever, obviously this one's dead, I don't have the luxury of live here during lockdown, and yeah, while we're on that, stay safe guys. Hey, sanitize, stay safe. So take the hook, push it through the top of the jaw here, just like that. The back hook comes in here, just into the flesh there, and I like to get this one somewhere around midriff. So I'll show you there now. So that there would be how I basically hook my live bait. Dead bait, the only difference there is I'm going to add a little nose weight to the front there, which I'll show you now. This trace, you'll see it's got these 2 little beads on the front. As I said, I don't like to add bling. That's the only bling I will generally add. I normally actually fish a trace without any beads or anything to keep it looking as natural as possible. So let me just show you here, hooking it as if it was dead, as this is now. The only difference I would do on a bait like this, I would use about a 1 ounce little teardrop sinker. I'll stick that onto the hook like that, back down, and the exact same thing. So there you've got one trace that you can do both with. Sorry, this one here on a dead bait, I would not hook it just through the top. It would then be hooked through both, keeping the mouth closed so that it swims more natural and things like that. I often just take that little weight and I bend it back a bit like that, just so it follows the contour of the fish a bit better, and there you go. Right? One thing you guys must remember, live bait is nice, yes, but if you get out there and the fish are eating early, don't underestimate a good dead bait. A good dead bait will get you results before other guys have even caught their live bait. And then another thing I like to do, I don't have any toothpicks with me at the moment, is I like to lift the little dorsal fin up like that, stick a little toothpick or a pin in there, keeping it up, and also the same with the little peg fins. And stick a toothpick through, so it looks a bit more natural. So that's how I would present my dead bait generally. Then with regards to where to fish, things like that, obviously you're going to look on your sounder, you're going to look for your showings. Once you've found your fish, you're obviously going to put it out. I normally like to fish about a 40-pound fluoro on the front of my line. This here, okay, I'm going to show you how to down rig here quickly. This elastic may break, it's an old one, but what I do is I always put my elastic onto my leader. So you push it through like that, you pull it tight, and if you pull it tight enough, it'll stay up against that knot. A lot of guys turn around and say, no, you must put it behind the knots of your leader, things like that. They reckon it stops it sliding down. As I say, I pull it very tight and it doesn't generally slide down. The reason I do this is normally when we're fishing on a kayak or on a jet ski, we're fishing alone. And when you've got that prize 20, 30 kilo fish on the end there and you're trying to pull the rod forward like this, reach forward, grab the sinker to snap the elastic, I've seen many guys lose a decent fish like that. Whereas if it's done this way, you can just wind it up until that knot hits your front eye. And as you're winding, it'll actually pull it down the leader and get it closer to the fish. So you don't have to worry about that too much. Rather lose the sinker than lose the fish. So that's my little take on it. That's how I do it. And yeah, hope that helps you guys. If you need anything, just give me a shout. I'm always here to help. Cheers,